Everybody, morning. Let's see the chat being weird. Looks like we got Logan, Craig, Ivan, Donald, Swinburne, Diane, Sergio, Diana, Arturo, Nancy. Good morning, everybody. Let's see. Throw this up there. And we've got all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining. Hopefully you're entertained. Not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument, including stocks, bonds, options, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. You know, if you trade those just because I predicted something might come true, you might lose money. And that's the way this works when you trade. You know, I make predictions. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not right all the time. Sometimes I get lucky. Sometimes I make some crazy price predictions and they come true and I shock myself, but it doesn't happen all the time. If you desire personal financial advice, you need somebody to tell you what buttons to push, hire and consult a financial advisor, all right? It's funny. We sent out a survey recently on the newsletter. If you're not part of the newsletter, I don't know how you get there, but you know, if you're on the newsletter list, we sent out a survey asking people what they wanted as far as content goes. Several people complained about the length of this show. Well, here's the deal. Like, I search for that list of movers in the morning. How do I filter it? Like, I literally pull it right before I come on the show and throw it in the trading view on my other computer. Like, if I sat there and sifted through for an hour, like, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22, I guess. Like, how do I pick the best stuff that's moving right before the market opens and still go live right before the market opens? It's kind of funny. I just thought it was a funny complaint about the list. So I'm sorry the list is long sometimes. It's very short sometimes. And today I threw in a bunch of setups that are good to enter today. So anyway, welcome everybody. Retail sales came out, look at that, actually even better, hotter than forecast. Not bad. I guess maybe everything's okay, right? Maybe core up 0.5, retail sales up 1.4. That's just a giant rip though. When we pull off COVID and we look at it, that was a giant swing, highest one we've had. I guess we got to make Trump look good, right? I don't know. I feel like all the numbers are baked, but didn't really have any effect on the market so much. Nvidia last night announcing that, well, Trump administration is basically banning all their ability to sell GPUs in China. You know, they created the H20 GPU to try to, you know, limit what China could do, and well, that's getting banned too. I don't know. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I don't know. I mean, trying to prevent your. It's kind of like we created this cool tool, if you will, and you could use the tool for good or you could use the tool for bad. So we're gonna try to limit the access to the tool from all the people we think won't do good. But here's the deal: like if anybody can buy the tool, it finds its way to the places. So it's just trying to limit it is, you know, I don't know. It's artificial barriers to all this stuff's just ridiculous. Why not support innovation where you want the innovation instead of, you know, instead of throwing up barriers? I don't know. It's a really tough argument, I guess, both ways. Tomorrow, last day the market's open today. As far as the regular stock market goes, I think I'll do a crypto thing on Friday. Maybe good, maybe not good. I don't know. Crypto's not been very interesting to me lately. It's just kind of sitting there. It's like the meme with the stick figure poking the stick with the thing. It's like, come on, Bitcoin, do something. Just not doing anything. So retail sales not doing anything. Nvidia, down, what was that, 7% almost? Well, we knew we had a significant resistance right here. I mean, if you've been hanging out with me, you knew that's highly likely we get a 618 retrace before we can bust up through it. So is this the 618 retrace, or do we fail and go down to the further down target? I don't know. All right, I don't know. Can't say for sure. All I can do is outline. This is not a high probability setup until we're above here or we get down below here. Then it sets up for that. That's kind of the long and the short of it. S5FI or S5TW still hanging out. Stocks above their 20-day for the S&P 500. You can pull this up for NASDAQ and Russell and whatever, but I just like this is the broad economy right here. Broad swath of the market, broad swath of the economy, just broad brush. Even though like 80% of America works in the Russell, I like to look at the S&P. It just gives me a gauge for what the market's about to do today, more than likely. So we've got a bottoming out near zero, probably going to go back to the top. The likely thing that happens, we go back to the top. Although we had a bust out the bottom and then a deeper bust out the bottom without going out the top. So back here was the last time we were out the top. And that was in January, February when we kind of topped the market. Grinding down the whole time here. This is likely to bust out the top. Yeah, this is like trying to hold a beach ball under the, or hold a basketball under the water or something while you're pumping more air into it. Eventually, we're going to pop. All right, this is also an indication of how much energy is left in the market. Energy to go lower, not, when we've bottomed out, when we're down here, there's not much energy to go much lower. We've got to be somewhere up here to take the market lower again. Now, this possibly could be enough, but we could dip again. We'll probably make a higher low, less participation if we do dip again, or we go higher. S5FI, stocks above their 50-day. This one, you see, you can't hold it underwater very long. It pops back up. Could it come down again? Often enough, we do see, this was a dip and this was a bigger dip right there. So we've already double dipped on this one. We topped out back in September. So this has been a grind off since before the election. You might not think about it that way, but this has been a grind off since back there. Been kind of grinding it off. If you felt frustrated in the markets, we've had less and less participation. Stocks above their 50-day until we got down here. Almost zeroed it out. Got down to 4%. This is the zone where we usually do a strong reversal. Now, it doesn't mean we won't double dip. Just like right here, we did a double dip, came up in this vicinity, a little bit higher, and then we came down again before we met the ultimate bottom. So all we can do is look at the past way that reversals have shaped up, try to glean some expectation on what might happen next. So we could see increased volatility where we go from the bottom, spike up to the top, and then come right back down to the bottom. That's entirely possible. Also, looking back, I don't think this goes back as far as I want it to. Let's see, 2007-8, very spotty. And let's see if it has any data. Yeah, right there. So this is what I'm afraid of right here. That we do some kind of bigger swing. We go from the top to the bottom, back to the top, back to the bottom, back to the top, back to the bottom. Increased volatility very rapidly. That's what I'm afraid of that we might do. And S5TH, stocks above their 200-day. Let's see if we got that one back there. This is, the price action right now is eerily similar to the way we topped in 2007. And big grind off like that. Look at that. prolonged period at the bottom. Right there. That would be rough. Right there where we're just chopping at the bottom. And then all of a sudden we rip. So this is stocks about their 200 day. Very slow mover. We went from the top down to the bottom. Next. Could grind back up. And we did break through the downtrend and got to the bottom. Now, all my charting methods don't necessarily work on this. Like, that's not what this is about right here. So this is just a giant market oscillator. It's kind of like looking at RSI. Is it overbought? Is it oversold? This is like a more accurate gauge here. When the market's down here, we're likely to go up here. When the market's up here, we're likely to go down here. If we're in between 20 and 80, the market's kind of adrift. All right. So we're in the middle, no real gauge, but we were just recently at the bottom. So that puts the odds that we're going to drift higher. Now, this doesn't mean we can't double dip, get a lower low before we come up. This is a slower mover, so that's what we're looking at right there. It's kind of I don't look at it every day, but lately it's important to realize that we're probably working on some sort of reversal that could take us back to new highs. S&P getting whacked, as I said, as long as we're below that high we made coming off the lows, which was right there, 55.30 area. As long as we were below that, we were working on a bearish kind of setup. Where might this go down to? Breaking out of that little crappy triangle thing. Look at that. Almost perfect. Held that triangle thing, popped out the bottom, back tested it kind of. Pull this on over. Almost back tested it. Gap filled it, looks like. And then probably going down. That looks like 5 waves down, a retrace. And let's see. Yep, 618 retrace. Next move down. Probably going to push us down into this zone right in here. Around 52.40. Another bounce. And then we get the final move down 5,100, maybe as low as 5,000. Look at the bigger. Let's jump up a time frame. Looking at that bigger correction here. We had the first move down right there. Copy it over to that high. And could put us right down here around 5,100. Don't even have to use fib tools necessarily. You just copy moves in the market. Like the market echoes moves all the time. That's what I call it. Echoes in the market. So it's just a thing. And, as I learned Elliott Wave and stuff, I figured out that there's very similar moves that happen in the market all the time. Not time-wise, but size-wise. That's how I'm able to make these ridiculous predictions that seem to come true all the time. Stuff like that, right there. Now, it could exceed that. We could come all the way down in the 5,000 area. We could even go lower low. That's still possible. If we get below this, we could even make a lower low than we made back here. In fact, if we did that, it would kind of clear up the chart a little bit. We just dip below right back there, back to the bottom. VIX did come off this morning, or it is coming off as soon as the market opens. The monthly VIX contracts expire. They kind of held it in right here at 32. No big spikes, no big dips. Those options are out of play now. Now we're on to the next month's options on VIX. You can say, well, what about the weeklies? Yeah, most big players don't play weeklies on VIX. They'll play monthlies. That's why the liquidity on the monthlies is way higher for VIX than it is on the weeklies. Still expecting this to come back down pretty violently, back down in here. As long as we're above this high, though, we still have the opportunity to make one more spike. This kind of comes back to these two highs, right like that. As long as we're hanging out above that, opportunity in the market to spike one more time. As soon as we get below that, we're probably coming back down to at least the 12 or 13 area, if not dipping on down in the low, possibly even the single touch into the single digits. And we haven't really been down in the single digits since before COVID back here. So I may just find a resting spot down around 10 or 12, 12-ish, kind of been the floor post-COVID. All right, back to NASDAQ. Obviously, with NVIDIA taking a hit, putting downward pressure, we're still in the downtrend. This still might need a lower low. Be careful out there. Nothing's set in stone. Nothing's clear. Nothing's settled. We have a move up. It's so difficult right here. Like, I guess really we're looking at, we have this move down, this retrace, and a potential that we want to retrace right there and hold. That's what we really want to see. We hold there, turn up, break above this downtrend line, pop up here, probably hit the daily roadmap line, retest back to here, and then bust through. That's what that's the most likely price action that I see right this moment. But everything can change with one crazy candle. Russell, I think we're going up here eventually, but short term, this one also looks like got this initial drop down. Just clean these up. Got this initial drop down. We've got this retrace. We have a potential to drop back down here. Now this one did make a lower low, so this is the reversal off of the low right here. These two made a higher low right here on April 8th. So Russell's in a little bit different pattern than ES and NQ. I like it best when all three are aligned on the same pattern, but we haven't had that in a long time. Oil looks like we're pushing out the top of the pattern. We'll probably go up to here. So this is probably the A, this is probably the B, and we might get the C up in here. That looks like a very nasty price action. Not fond. We could see resistance at, so it's difficult right here to pick exactly where this goes. Been doing Elliott Wave a long time, and do you use this level right here, or do you use this level right here? Open to debate, and it may never be clear, but what that leaves us is a box right here of resistance. If we rally up here, may turn down there, may turn down up here, may turn down up here even, and then go for another move. So right now, oil likely to go from this area up into this box right here. Could it reject at the roadmap line? Absolutely. That's another point where we can reject. But that's what I would kind of see in the short term. Now we look at the big picture. There's still giant downside risk. That doesn't have to play out. We could still flush down to 50. And I think if we get down here, we might see a hot war with Iran kick off. If we drop down here, and if we bust this, anywhere down in here, we might see the hot war kick off. And Iran or Middle East or whatever, I think we'll see oil disruptions if we get down in this area. Gold. Going for ridiculous extension. Craziness. Absolute craziness is what I would, 33.43. That's likely to be some resistance. It's unlikely to continue to here without a retrace, but it can do it. Just keeps extending. Fifth wave extension. Silver is still waiting to break out in a big meaningful way. And this, I'm very cautious here on the fact that we might see some resistance right where we are in silver. If some crazy thing happens today, pushes this down again, come down in the low 20s, mid 20s, that might actually be the final move there. As long as we're below this level, right there, that first initial drop, still have potential to go on another dip. Bitcoin did not get the third green day. Wreck that right up. That's interesting. Yeah. Just mucking that right up. And we got a red day on the futures and red day on the futures. Spot market was already, look at it. Red, green, red. Red, green, red, green, green, red, green, red, green. Significant resistance right there at the roadmap line. Till we can break through. Still has potential. And this is still lower lows. Like, we're not breaking this. We are above the downtrend line. We've managed to do that part. That doesn't mean we won't go back and retest it before we can get the energy to go higher. So we could see that. That very well could be what we're about to do with this resistance to break through here. Inability. There's the market. Kicking off alerts. Over and over. NKD. Still working on this reversal here. If we get back above the box, we're going up. This is an indication of global liquidity. We kind of flushed it down here, made a lower low. That could be it. And we might pop this up and take the market higher. US usually flows with it. So DXY, and this is not the right list. I thought that wasn't the right list. And let's see this. Let's reload. See if it'll pull up the right list. There we go. There we go. And there's a sale on, just in case you didn't realize, 5 days left. Grab big discounts. You get the annual plan. Dun, 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 dun. Whoop, there's all my personal information. Dun, 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 right there. They won't let me buy another plan, even though it says I can. All right. GDXU. So I go pull all the gainers. Dollar probably going down, but that doesn't mean it won't retrace back to the roadmap line. So gainers, GDXU. I go pull all these gainers. Everything moving $2 more up. Put it on the gainers list. Look for opportunities. Well, shoot, man, that's right up to the extension. If you're trading that, now's the time to potentially be done. All right. It might mean NEM popped up. Be careful. This can stop right here to lower high and roll off quickly. Be careful. Please be careful. LMT. Still in a downtrend here. Till we can break back above some of that price action. Not sure we're coming back up yet. Put that at the lowest low. And at the highest high. Got this little mini downtrend of highs cooking. That's, intermediate resistance. We have bigger resistance up here at the 618 level. Right up here around 540. Got that uptrend of lows holding us in. We might just consolidate in here until we fill out this little triangle crap. Progressive. Yesterday we talked about this being a potential entry. Looks like we're giving a look back a little bit after the open here. Want to see this get continuation right up in there. That's what we want to see. So right around 299 to 300. That's what we're looking. That's what it should do. All right, travelers. Yeah, just a sideways chop. Not my favorite. If you don't enjoy hunting for, looking at what's moving and hunting for the opportunities, I apologize, but that's what, that's what a lot of people seem to have trouble with. Yeah, it's kind of funny on the survey. People are like, I have trouble finding which one's the good stuff and which one's the bad stuff. And then they complain that they only want me to talk about the good stuff, like that's ready to go. It's like, all right, you can't learn what makes a good chart and a bad chart if we don't talk about all of them. And if I just give you the good stuff, like you don't know what the warning signs are. So right now, that's probably coming back down for another retrace before we can pop up. Right there, it's kind of a catch-22, right? And I mean, we can come back and talk about some of these. Nothing's really moving. The market's all just kind of pinned in here. Stopped, not moving, not moving. Carvana stopped. Everything's just, it seems like everything's waiting. Waiting. I did sell a 141 yesterday on that one and probably get a better deal today. And you make your choices and you stick with them. So I have a list down here, like I had yesterday, of potential setups. Right here. We'll just go through them and kind of, like we did yesterday, let's just take a look, see what we got. Then we can cruise back into look at the other opportunities. So we've got this high here, we've got this low here. That technically closed above. That sets up the opportunity for this to rally up here. I'm sure that somebody wants to see the actual trade numbers. Let's pull this up here. 9 trades, 66% profitability. So that one maybe not the best right there. ALC, another one that's that tapped the bottom. So this one might be actually working on a reversal here that goes higher. So we've got the high in place. We've got this low in place. We closed above right there. Sets the stage for 99. But Alcon did stop out down here. I mean, did make a lower low, excuse me. We popped up, hit that target. Big deep retrace. 1, 2, 3. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about the, like, even though you had one back here, it's right here, this high, this low, this very well. Let's draw the fib and see if that one actually kicked off that bigger pattern. No, it didn't. It did right there when we closed above right there. But that didn't meet the duration that I have in the algorithm. All right, that took too long. Like when they take a really long time, it doesn't preclude them from working. It doesn't, it doesn't make it not work. But we did make a lower low right here. So what it did though is it reset this pattern back to here. Even though you might have gotten in here, we reset it over here. But these interior patterns that the algorithm does find, these ones are inside that high, this low, right there, we kicked off an entry, and right there it worked out, and then we crushed it down. So this pattern worked inside the bigger pattern. It's still cooking. That's my point right here, is that just because you get one of these smaller patterns doesn't mean it won't hit the target while we're still working on the bigger pattern out here. Now this one, big, that high, this low, kicked it off. The algorithm didn't trigger the algorithm, probably due to too few of candles, but this one also could work out right here while the bigger pattern is still cooking. we've got that high up there. We've got this low down here. Looking for a close up in this area again, somewhere above 93 for that bigger target 104. BBEU. Beta Builders in Europe ETF. Beta Builders, Beta Builder, Beta. So that closed right there. 66 is the target. Right there, you can see down here, this is not very likely to work out. 9 trades in the history and a negative profit factor. Maybe not the best one. Checkpoint software. Let's see what we got. Did retrace. Did fire off an entry. 238.75 would be the target. 63% profitable in the history and negative profit factor. So the losers eat up the winners. And below 1, you gotta, it's the amount of money the strategy made for every unit of money lost. So it made 69 cents for every dollar lost. Gross profits divided by gross losses. Making 69 cents for every dollar you lost, that's negative, right? So 1 to 1 is, flat. It's 0. And anything over 1 is potentially profitable on the long term. So there's a bigger pattern right there. From that big high to this big low. But then we had the one inside right here. Another one that could play out at 33. Target. Stop is dollar below the low, always. That one plays out before the bigger one even triggers. CWN. Oh, that one's got a bigger pattern. We were looking for that. I was talking about that high, but we've got this high here, this low here, and 31 right there. It's already in the trade from back here, so it won't take it again. It's already in this waiting. This high, this low, right there. Made a lower low. Didn't stop it out because it didn't get a dollar below. And it would have fired off another entry here. And this is another entry here. So probably likely to get the extension. DFAI. There's the high. Here's the low. Kicking it off. 33 on the upside. This is Dimensional International Core Equity Market. Whatever the heck that is. 50% profitable. Negative profit factor. DIVI. There's the high. There's the low. Kicking it off. Target at 34.70. 63% profitable. Profit factor negative. ECH. Go to Santiago, Chile. There's the entry. 31.70. Target 80, almost 87% profitable and a profit factor of 3. So this one typically works out. 15 trades in the history, so it's not statistically significant, but this one typically likes to run. Once we trigger these moves, there you go. EFA, we've got a bunch of these. So that one right there. This high, this low, kicking it off, 87, 62% profitable, almost a flat profit factor. EFV. Here's the high, here's the low. There, we're kicking it off, 62 on the upside, 47% historical win rate, and negative profit factor. That one fails more often than it runs. ESGD. There's the entry. 86 on the target, 60% profitable, negative profit factor, 10 trades. EWG. Germany. Some money flowing back to Germany now. 40 would be the target. 66% profitable. Profit factor 1.3. Not horrible. Not horrible. EWI, Italy. This one has a high here, the low here. These are entries today, potentially. 45.21, 70% profitable, 1.0. Now the people that write my newsletter, or the person that writes my newsletter, has access to all of these that fire off every day. He usually picks, we've gone over what criteria I would pick. We usually look for a high profit factor and a high profitability, or profitable, high win rate and a high profit factor. That's usually the criteria we look for. And I told him to try to lean toward ones that have more trades. Over 30 is statistically significant versus ones that have like one trade and a crazy profit factor, or two trades, one. So got to be careful out there. So my newsletter writer picks them on his own, even though he's using the same tool. So he may or may not pick the same ones I pick. This one right here, 57.54. And if you thought I wrote the newsletter, I don't. Even though it's written in my voice, it's not me. I don't even usually even check it. So there you go. There you go. 38.26 right there. Now he does use, a lot of times he uses AI on my videos here and then grabs what I said and puts it into a newsletter, digesting it with AI and all the tools. Here's this one, 37.80, 75% profitable, 1.3 HSTM. It's the life of a content creator. I don't have anybody help me with this show. That's the show's on my own. I do this to try to help everybody. They little basically no support on this. That one kicked off back here for that dip, so it's already in it, 34, and marginal numbers there. IEFA. So those of you that maybe you're used to other YouTubers that got a bunch of people helping them, then it's just me sitting here in a land far, far away from the rest of the team. 52 and 6, not the greatest. IEUR. There's the high, there's the low. 64 targets, 13 trades. Pretty nasty on the win rate. IEV. There's the entry, 62 targets. Nasty on the, like a lot of these Europe ETFs, just not the greatest win rate. It doesn't make them not likely to work. It just, historically, and that one is statistically significant. So it's a toss up, like whether it's going to work out or not. Like conditions could change and this busts down, very quickly. JIRE. Going through the list, I'm not seeing anything I would take necessarily today. Yeah, this one's 100% profitable, infinite profit factor. Like that's just smoking hot, but it only has 2 trades in the history. So that's not exactly high confidence for me. That's the same as a toss up, right? Like you can get lucky twice. You can flip a coin twice and get heads and it not mean jack squat. So next up, LIN. This one looking kind of gnarly here. Might work out. It worked out very quickly right there on that last little bounce. Could work again. 82% profitable, 40 trades. I mean, this has a nice history of winning. The losses were kind of big, though, so be careful on that. Netflix. Hey. We've got earnings coming up tomorrow after the close, when you can't do jack squat about it till the next Monday. So you have to sit on, if this one shocks to the downside, we're going to sit on that till Monday after Easter. And Good Friday coming up Friday. That's what that looks like, though. There's nice potential. Profit factor, 1.3. And 2/3 of the time we win, 1/3 of the time we lose. 18 trades, not statistically significant. NVS. And it's another one set up right here. It's Novartis. There's the high, there's the low, there's the entry, 120 on the target. See the profit factor is about 77 with a 2. And that's pretty good, honestly. Almost a 26 is pretty darn close to 30. Well, 30 is the statistical population. Anything below 30, not a statistical population, but that's getting in the neighborhood. And not bad right there. Not bad potential. Oh, realty income. And typically, real estate investment trusts don't really follow this pattern that well unless you take into consideration their adjusted dividend. You can see that cranked the win rate up. Look, went from 76, add this in, 85 right there. Profit factor 1.6, 27 trades. So this is likely to come up to this 60 area up here. Remember, every dividend affects the numbers here. So you can see this pop up and rock and roll, baby. Now it didn't trigger the entry. This took too long to set up this pattern. Not too shabby though. Pay holdings. Commentus. So you look at this one, it has a bigger high, bigger low, hasn't kicked off that entry. This one right here did kick off the entry yesterday on the close. 33 would be the target right there. It did not trigger the, again, speed and size of the move, volatility affected this. Only 2 trades in the history, 100% profitable, infinite profit factor. Not bad. PPC. And that's the high, and that's the low. How do you know where the high is? It's the highest high, right? If it hits the roadmap line before that, I don't count it. All right, that's what we're basically looking for right there. Since that missed, that's the low. There's the high. There's the low. Here's the entry. There's the target. This didn't trigger the TradingView version of this. It triggered my Python version of this. Slightly different results. 13 trades in the history, not statistically significant, 76.92, and a profit factor 1.7. Now, across 4,000 tickers-ish, when I talk about the statistical significance, let me pull it up and show you something. Let me grab this, throw up sheets.google.com. I know it's called something else, like docs.google.com/spreadsheet. Let me find the daily setups. Here we go. So I've got this. Like, I did a lot of back tests. There's a lot of tickers in here. A lot. Like 4,000, roughly. It covers 14,000 trading days, 56,000 trades. So on average, they're 75% profitable. That's cool. Not what I was trying to do. And where did that spreadsheet go? Jumped away. There we go. So on average, 75% profit, 74.7. And the average duration is 43 days across 56,000 trades. When I talk about tens of thousands of trades, that's 56,000 trades. So when I talk about this being a high probability pattern, right? Ticker agnostic, it works 75% of the time. The average duration is 43 days. All right. Now, any given ticker may or may not have that kind of smoking hot win rate. And that's why I look at these numbers down here, kind of give me a little more. So when you've got one that has very little history, right here, doesn't have a statistical population, you kind of lean back toward that, well, 75% of the time it's probably going to work out when we get the pattern, because all of these are in that data. Even the ones that lose almost every time are in that 56,000 trades. So that's why I believe in the pattern, even though sometimes the setup looks bad. Pilgrim's Pride right here. They make sausage, right? Agricultural commodities. I think they make sausage. Anyway, set up to pop. SPDW. High, this low. There's the entry and the target right up here at 38. 75% profitable, right in line. 20 trades. So this one you can kind of assume. Now I didn't track the profit factor. I don't believe, if I remember right. Well, I did track the profit factor, so let's see. The average profit factor is 1.284. 1.2. Average profit factor across 56,000 trades. So on average, it wins. On average, you make 28 cents for every dollar you lose. You make back your dollar and then make 28 cents profit. That's why I like this pattern. Like it, on the whole, it just works. There's the high, there's the low, there's the entry, and 61 is the target. This one, look at that freaking trade right there. Holy moly, 91% profitable and a 4 profit factor. The only problem is that right there, so it may underperform. You got to go back to the default, 75% likely, and a profit factor 1.2. There you go. When you don't have a statistical population, you might come back, since that's the mean across 56,000 trades, you might come back to the mean. And Uber, for those of you like Uber, there's your high, there's your low. Kicking it off right here. I missed that target slightly, or missed that high slightly. Oh, I missed the low, is what I missed. Did barely close above, 85 is the target. 100% profitable on 4 trades. Infinite profit factor. When you have no losers, when you divide by 0, you get infinity. UTI. Here's the high. Here's the low. There's the close above and 31.50. BGK. Got a couple more here. You can see I've done drawings on almost all of these, so I look at thousands and thousands of charts. There's the entry, 75, VICI, Vicky. There's the high, there's the low. Click the wrong tool. Cool. There's the high, there's the low. Entry, 34.70. VYMI. Here's the high, here's the low. There's the entry, 77.84. WMB. Here's the high, here's the low, there's the entry, and 63 target. There you go. That was the list of potential entries for today. Like those were all brand new today. Like there's not like, oh, I missed it. No, today's the entry on all of those. Like, so brand new today. I have a scanner that runs every night. Termite Trading Labs gets that list every night. And if you want access to it, join Termite Trading Labs. That's the only place I don't sell access to it any other way. Built a tool for them to use. So that's a perk. Just like getting to see all the trades in the 50K challenge, which we've placed 3 trades so far. Getting to see the exact fills and the exact targets and all that stuff. It's a perk being in Termite Trading Lab. If you just want to see the tickers I'm trading for the 50K challenge, join as a channel member. Give that out. Slovakia. Wrong, out there in Slovakia. Must be like afternoon there, late afternoon. Anyway. Alrighty. So, bias for the day. Down. Red Monster. I already knew we were down, so I grabbed the red one just so it didn't seem like I was affecting the market. We were down on the gap down, so I was like, I'll drink that red one right there. And other opportunities today, I don't know. You got to take your pick, but down probably support levels around 52, 51, and 50. And if we break down below 50, probably going lower low. All right. Hope everybody has a great day. I'll be back again with you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:15. We'll go through it all again. Try to find some trades. Hey, Charlie. Good to see you. Hey, everybody else that I missed. Darren, Curious Cat, Darren, Diane, Joy. Good to see everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. The account you save may be your own. Be back again. Same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. And Friday also. We'll try to do it all again.